I am grateful to the Noble Lord Chadlington for bringing this very important debate to the House. I apologise in advance if what I'm about to say is somewhat repetitious to some of the points that he has made, and indeed the eloquent Noble Lord Berkeley, who's made some very good points. I'm sure that many of your lordships will all know of somebody who was addicted to gambling. Your lordships will also know that gambling can bring devastation to families' lives and even lead to criminal offences and a complete destruction of a person's life. It is as addictive in a similar way to alcohol and drugs, and I'm sure that people cleverer than me, psychologists for example, will be able to explain to the House what it is that makes people want to gamble. But what we need to try and focus on is what it is that lures young people into gambling. My lords, I go back quite a way in time to the late 60s and 80s when there was no internet, there was no gambling advertising on TV, no scratch cards in newsagents, to times when, from my recollections, all that was available was horse racing or dog racing, to times when ordinary working class people tried to supplement their income by gambling. They would hear of a win that was equivalent to a whole week's wages, for example, and that was the attraction that led to their addiction. One thing we know, my lords, is there are no bankrupt bookmakers, but there are many bankrupt gamblers. In the long term, gamblers never win. Bookmakers always win. Moving forward to the current arena, we are not only have horse racing and dog racing, but we have things that you can now buy in newsagents, such as scratch cards. We have online gambling. We have slot machine arcades. We have television advertising in between sports events. The opportunity, the awareness of gambling has made a giant leap. Now, unfortunately, gambling has been made easy for people. Gambling ventures, albeit stated that only people over the age are allowed, for example, to buy scratch cards or gamble online or go into slot machine arcades, well, that's fine. But the fact is, children find a way of doing it. So why are young people attracted to this? Well, I guess, again, going back to the psychologists, they may tell you that it is brought about by the culture of their family, by the company they keep, or maybe the fact that they feel they have no chance of getting a good job, but have a desire to get hold of money by gambling, as opposed to, say, something more terrible like drug dealing. Their fathers, their mothers, their brothers, sisters, uncles may be serial gamblers. And in a silly way, as silly as it may sound, that young person should be able to see that it hasn't done them any good. The worst thing that could ever happen to anyone is to win. And to win something which represents a week's wages or represents a year's pocket money, for example, that will get the person hooked. Now, I do believe that part of the school curriculum should be allocated to not only discussing the dangers of alcohol, drugs and smoking, but added to that should be a message about gambling, a very strong message put out to the young people that there is no such thing as a rich gambler, but there are many rich bookmakers. You cannot win in the long term. If that message is put across to young people, it may sink in that it is a foolish thing to embark upon spending money and trying to win a fortune. My lords, the adverts that are shown between football matches are incredible. They offer free bets, refunds on bets. They are also repeated several times during a game, and more offers are made in half-time. In fact, the whole of the advertising slots during a game are mainly taken up with gambling advertising. What amazes me is that the policy of TV companies seems to have changed. Now, in my days of advertising on TV, I was told that inside a 3-minute slot of advertising, you weren't allowed to have two competitors in the same break. Now, I'm not sure if this was something made up by the policymakers at the time, or TV broadcasters, or the regulators. But now there are several adverts from different organisations in the same slot. So it looks like that rule has gone completely out of the window. I've noted certain adverts on TV where I see, for example, the actor Ray Winston as the lead character. But they have recently started to add at the end of the advert, gamble responsibly. Well, my lords, this couple of words are pathetic. I mean, absolutely pathetic. At this point, I would like to clarify, if any of the media are looking in, I'm not accusing Mr. Winston of being pathetic, because he may come and thump me afterwards. It was clearly a useless attempt to pacify an authority who maybe complained. I don't know who that was. Maybe it was Ofcom or the Advertising Standards Authority, but it is pathetically weak and totally inadequate. My lords, I agree with the noble Lord Chadlington that the warnings about gambling are in no way strong enough or anywhere near or similar to that of the warnings of alcohol and cigarette smoking. I do believe that the government needs to do something about stopping gambling television adverts which can be viewed by young people. The first being, and maybe not the solution, but putting it after 9 o'clock at night after the watershed. No dispensation should be made for football, which is played in the afternoon, as it is my personal belief that it is these adverts that are the major culprits who induce young people to gamble. Frankly, these adverts are too clever and too luring. Turning away from TV advertising and moving to the internet, here is a massive can of worms of opportunities of being able to gamble online. I don't personally have a solution for this other than, again, asking the government to intervene and to get a bit heavy with the likes of Facebook, Google and others by removing adverts for gambling accessibility for young people. I know that it's easier said than done, but digitally they can do it by ensuring that no gambling adverts are displayed until, say, for example, again after 9 o'clock. It is a difficult task to police the internet, but the government has to step in. I go back to cigarettes. Governments across the world have done quite a good job in warning people of the dangers of cigarettes. We don't see any adverts for them. We don't see them advertised on TV. We don't see any adverts for them on the street hoardings, in magazines, and I don't see any adverts of them flashed up in front of my face on my computer screen on the internet. So it proves conclusively that internet providers and search engine providers can do it if they want to. I urge the government to do exactly the same in respect of gambling as they did on cigarettes, because gambling is an addiction. Gambling ruins family lives, and gambling incites criminal activity. Yeah.